in this economy, it's important for everybody, especially over 40, to have 3 streams of income. I want you to think about that. Think about what product or service could you sell for $1? Because if you could sell something for $1, you could sell it for more dollars. What product or service could you sell to generate income? Even if you plan on working for one person, it's still important in this economy, which I think everyone would see, to have multiple streams of income. And I'm going to talk a few minutes about how to do that, because I think it's important. You know, you're all a product, and your work becomes, a subset of you as a product. So let's talk about you incorporated here for a second. Imagine you had a piece of paper with 4 columns. In the first column is its product or service. I want you to think tonight about if you had to sell tomorrow a product, which is something you create, something that's tangible, or a service, something you provide, for $1, so you don't get hung up on money at this point. What would that be? What would you list? It's a good exercise. Even if you're a sales executive or a project manager or an engineer and you're working for someone else, it's still important to think like this, like a free agent, like an entrepreneur, right? People will appreciate you, and you'll also interview better as well. So what product or services could you offer? So that goes in the first column, right? And it's amazing. In an audience the other day, a woman said to me, well, I can't think of anything. And I said, not anything? She goes, well, I bake cakes, but how are you going to make $80,000 baking cakes? Like it's my problem, of course. But I said to her, if you're good at baking cakes, what are some derivatives of baking cakes? And by the end of a 10-minute conversation, she had lots of ideas. In other words, you start with something that which is really a good alignment of your abilities and your interests that we talked about. And then you start to think about what products or services can I sell? The second column is features. So what are the features of a product or service that you could sell to somebody else? Again, even if you're looking for a traditional job from your current traditional job, or say you're a free agent right now. By the way, I like that term better than free agent. And you're looking for the next role for you. I like the word role versus job. I never use the word job. It's too job equals career, which is just an exchange of service for money. We're just renting ourselves to somebody. And that equals retirement, that equals death. So the idea tonight is vocation. Okay, vocation. All right, so second column, features. What are the features of your products and services that you could sell? Third column, benefits. What are the benefits of your product or your service? And the last column is most important, which is what niche audience do you most want to sell something to? So even, again, if you're applying for a traditional job, who do you want to serve? Who do you want your customer base to be? Children? Elderly? It's important to think about this because if you think about the concept of work that's going to last your whole life, who do you want to work with your whole life as your customer base? So this very simple little matrix I found very useful, and just as a starting point to sort of stand back and say, okay, if I was going to sell myself, what would I sell for $1? So let's move on. As you're working down the path to right work, it's really important to become an expert at what you're passionate about. Better after 40 to be an expert at one thing than average at many things. So tonight I want you to think about where are your passions, right? Where are your passions? Where do you want to become an expert? The good news is there's lots of traditional ways to become an expert. You can get a degree, you can get a certificate. The good news is about 60% of colleges today in this country offer online degrees. But putting all the sort of usual logical stuff aside, one of the best ways to have confidence in yourself is to give yourself proof that you, in fact, are an expert in this area that you're passionate about. I'll show you how to do that. Everybody take a moment and just think about what is one idea that you have that you're really passionate about. That, if you can just do this as your work and make whatever you need to make for the rest of your life, what would that be? I want you to think about that. And as you think about that, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to write a 600-word article, an advice article for somebody else. A 600-word article is probably a page and a half. Let's say one of you is passionate about sales. You just love to sell. You sell anything. Okay, then write an article. The top 10 ways to close any sale. So you write, well, there's this one, there's this one, there's this one. So you put your ideas down. And then, this is where the internet comes in handy, you publish it on the internet. Now today there's hundreds, if not thousands of sites where you take an article and you're responsible for the content. I like ezinearticles.com, by the way. That's my favorite. I have 100 of my articles there. But anyway, you take this article that you've written and you publish it at one of the many free internet sites. Within 24 hours, your article gets categorized, name, title. And if you go into Google within 48 hours and type in your name, you see, wow, you're an author. You see your article, the top 10 ways to sell. Are you with me? Now, all that does is give you proof that, wow, I really do know something about sales. And then sort of magic happens after that. A week later, you go back into Google, you type in your name, and you go, wow, my article's at 10 sites, 20 sites, 30 sites, 40 sites. How did my article end up on like I wrote an article the other day about passion after 40, and it's on a dentist's site, you know. I don't know how it ended up there. It's amazing. So what happens is you write down an article, and you start to get confidence in yourself. And the internet is just one idea to sort of move yourself out there. But of course, you could see the uses for this. Even if you work in a traditional job for somebody else, the fact you're building a track record around your passions. So start with your passion, write an article, publish it. Magic will happen from that point. So education is important.